old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. I got a couple of pallet boards that I want to run through the planer. Normally I'd use the table saw on this, but the table saw is down at Ryan's house and I don't want to have to go down there and bother him. So I'm going to see if I can remove about a 1/4 inch off the top of this thing just to see what happens. It's going to be noisy. Managed to remove most of the burn marks. I'm not going to try and take the holes out. The holes actually end up going halfway through the board. So the smaller holes are just going to have to live there and I'll have to work around them. I'm going to do the flat surfaces. Just going to crank this up until it starts pulling in. Once it starts pulling, I crank it up until it actually starts cutting. Then I take one pass through to make sure that it's cutting flat all the way, and then I flip it over. I give it a 1/2 crank. That's about a 64th of an inch, or 1/4 of a millimeter. What would that be? About 15 thousandths, 0.25 millimeter. Closer to 0.3 millimeter. The planer self-feeds. If you get some part of your body in it, it's going to feed it right through. As you can see by the stream of chips coming out of it, it takes off a lot of material real quickly. That's the advantage of power tools. Disadvantage is they're very strong, but they have no sense. Whatever's happening, they just keep right on doing what they were starting out to do. So I have to watch. If I'm starting to get tear out on the surface, I have to stop because the machine won't notice. Recommended that you have a chip collector on these things because all the chips come flying out in a hell of a hurry. But the chip collector is down at Ryan's house along with the table saw. using the camera a lot because this Canon has this nasty habit of every once in a while getting in its head that it doesn't want to run. So it says, camera has stopped recording automatically. And it doesn't work then. So I'm keeping my eye on the screen. Take a couple of skim passes because the blades are old and dull and got some nicks in them. And the skim passes lets the blade catch the parts that are nicked. Now we're going to go through some of this really gnarly, knotty, thin stuff. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be really noisy. That's the other thing the planer will do. It will just eat chunks out of your board. Well, you don't want to stand on that side. If the board has any weak spots in it, we'll just grab a whole chair right out of it. This board's got some confused grain in it. That spot right there, it's going to be torn out no matter what I do. But I got the most of it fairly flat and square, which is pretty good for oak. This one I'm going to continue to run through just because I've got it started, but it's pretty much toast. Taking real small cuts, see if I can keep it going. So with the power tools, I can remove a lot of stock quickly, but it has faults. It's more aggressive than a hand plane. A hand plane, I can see that the wood's starting to lift a little bit and just lighten up on the pressure or lift up on the back of the plane to make it cut lighter, or just stop and reverse direction halfway through the run. Once this thing starts planing, I can back off the handle and stop it from continuing the cut, but then I'm going to have a step, and the step is going to be transmitted all the way through the part. Each time the rollers go over that step, I'll have a hop and a skip. The other thing that these planers do, because of the way the rolls work, it has two rolls. One feeds in to the cutter and the other one feeds out of the cutter. The one feeding into the cutter grabs a hold of the front of the board and pulls down on it. So as it goes into the cutter, it's tipped like this. Then once it gets under the cutter and onto the second roller, then the board flattens out, and in the center section, it's relatively flat. But when it gets to the point where it drops out of the front roller, it then kicks up because the back roller is tipping it. So as it comes out of the back roller, it then rocks forward as it comes off the end of the board, or the end of the table, and you get snipe, or a thin spot here at the end. So the board is not really flat. And we're talking sometimes only as much as a few thousandths, sometimes visibly, like almost a 32nd of an inch. And you'll get a board that's not flat and square. So you can go back through and square it up with a hand plane, but most of the time I just figure on cutting off the ends of it anyways. Especially with something like this pallet board. I glued up the ends and left the glued up ends on the pallet board because I knew that I was going to have snipe on these boards. So the snipe is going to be the part that I'm going to trim off anyways because of all the splits and checks. But that's what I do with the power tools. They're adjunct. They're an addition to the job. I much prefer using the hand tools for fine work, but if you want to do something in a big hurry, and pallet boards are cheap, you spend a lot of time and money getting them because time is money, and you spend time getting them out, getting them home, getting the boards off the pallet, getting the nails out of the boards, and then truing up the boards to make them into something. So by this time, I've almost got as much money in time in this board as I would have if I'd have gone to the lumber yard and bought it. It's kind of false economy. But if you don't have any other way to get a piece of wood, this one only takes time. And if I got more time than money, I'll spend time. Thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments below. You know I read them all.